I think, what, the fifth city we've been in the last few days since announcing. It's been an exciting entry into the race. I've been meeting some wonderful people and getting some tough questions from you and others, and I appreciate it. The welcome has been very warm. It's a terrific field, as you all know, of marvelously talented, in many cases friends, and every one of them great public servants. I'm hoping to have a chance to compete in every state and speak to every voter. We were delighted that in the first couple of hours of our website going up, we had volunteers identify themselves from every one of the 50 states. And we look forward to leveraging that kind of engagement right through the primary. So I'm glad to be here, and thank you for taking me early, because I think I'm the last one to speak. And you'll probably be all ready to end your day by then. So, questions? Great.
Governor, wait. We're just being.
I was almost out.
No. So how do you navigate a field this large, especially coming in late? Is it tough to sort of, a lot of people have organizations on the ground here and elsewhere.
Yeah. So, well, I'm not going to get all into the strategy, but I can tell you two things. First of all, I would have come in a year ago. That was the plan. 2 weeks or so before we were ready to launch this. I think some of you know, my wife was diagnosed with uterine cancer, and I'm really, really grateful to be able to say she's cancer-free today. And still thought that I might just get behind another candidate or wait for the nominee. But I've had so much encouragement from so many quarters, and I think in some ways the most moving kind of encouragement comes from people I've never met, who just toss a message in, as it were, over the transom. So I looked hard at whether there was a path. I'm confident there is a path. Every place I've been so far, I've been assured by others on the ground that there is a path. And we will be building over time, but not over much time, I get it. We want to be respectful of everybody, and we want to be respectful of the process. And I also want to say, you know, it gives me an opportunity maybe to make another point. I want folks to know that from my perspective, voters and citizens are not just important in the states or the contests that political people think of and talk about as important. This campaign, and I think, is an opportunity to bring people together. I've lived a life and a profession that's been about that, and with people's engagement and their help, if I serve, I intend to serve as the President of the United States, not just the President of the Democrats.
So you've said that you don't care about the debates. Are you not trying to qualify for the December debate?
I didn't say I didn't care about them.
I mean, you mentioned that a couple of days ago when you were.
I didn't say I didn't care.
Okay, well, you said that you weren't trying. Can you clarify that?
Yeah,
Are you not going to try?
Sure. So what first of all, I think that the threshold requirements for participating in the debate are enormously important, and I'm going to be trying to meet those requirements just as quickly as possible. What I said, and I said it only half facetiously, I've been watching the debates. I have also commented on the debates on the air. I'm not sure it's something you want to aspire to, because the format is just really, really hard to as a means to communicate with the public. And I'll just give you one example. You know, we have every candidate in the field, I believe, committed to delivering universal care, meaning health care that is affordable and accessible to every citizen in the United States. The other side is not. That's the issue. What the means are to get there is what we've been fussing about in the debates, and that's interesting. But at the end of the day, what folks should understand, everyone should understand, is that we have all committed to making that a priority. That is the right priority, and I will also say that I think I'm the only one in the race who's actually delivered health care to over 98% of our residents at home in Massachusetts.
Governor.
In those debates, a lot of your now opponents have kind of tried to figure out the Obama legacy, who has the best case to kind of carry the Obama mantle and create that coalition again. So why are you the best person to do that? And do you see yourself as
Bless you.
a pseudo heir apparent to what Obama did for 8 years?
Well, look, I think President Obama was a terrific president. He's been a friend and was a friend a long time before he was in any public office, and I supported him from the beginning and right through, and still do. But I also think that the moment demands something different from whomever our next president is and will get from me. I think that we have an incredibly exciting level of interest in big ideas, commensurate with the size of the challenges we face, from climate change to the puts and takes of what the tax system ought to look like. And in order to deliver on an agenda as ambitious as that, I think we have to leave room for people who may have a different point of view about how to accomplish those objectives. Not to trim the objectives, but to leave room to bring others in, so that the changes we make last. And having driven a change agenda in a different kind of crisis, an economic crisis, and in a different kind of environment, a state, not nationally. But I'll also say it's been true in business. You need to bring other people in order to make the changes last. That's kind of leadership and kind of person I've tried to be.
Governor, can we get your reaction to Mayor Bloomberg walking back his support of stop and frisk policies?
Good. Yep.
Governor Patrick, you said you want to compete in all 50 states. You missed the filing deadline for Alabama and for Arkansas. What's your message to voters in those states? And what do you mean when you want to compete in all those states when you're not going to be on the primary ballot?
Because I think there's more to it. I mean, obviously there's the practical, there are the practical deadlines and so forth, and I get that. And I respect that. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to ignore Alabama and Arkansas. We mean that we will have organizations and a presence on the ground to the extent we can, but the point I'm trying to make is that, and maybe I'll put it this way, when I was growing up on the south side of Chicago, we were made to feel important, if at all, at campaign times, and not in between. And I think there are people who feel unimportant and unseen and unheard all over the country in all kinds of quarters, and it shouldn't have to depend on a campaign. And so I'm going to be developing ways together with my team to make sure those folks feel that they are seen and they are heard, and that if I'm president, they will be seen and heard, and I intend to serve everyone everywhere.
Governor, do you think it's appropriate for President Obama to host fundraisers in Silicon Valley, some tickets going up to $350,000?
Well, you take that to President Obama. I appreciate your asking the question, but I'm not going to.
Are you worried that, it could be seen as Democrats being too beholden to Silicon Valley and rich people?
Look, I'm not going to talk about Democrats. I'm going to tell you.
Why not?
Because I'm going to talk about me, if I may. Look, I've never taken a job. I've never taken a dime where I have felt I had to or was willing to leave my conscience at the door. We have a broken election system in terms of being awash in money. I get that. And that, if given the opportunity, is one of the things I intend to change, and will be part of the policy platform we'll be rolling out in the next couple of weeks. In the meantime, in an ideal world, we'd be taking small dollar contributions exclusively. And I remember when I ran the first time, I should tell you, I hate asking people for money in every job I've ever had. But I remember when we were running the first time, we got a check in the mail. People still did that just a few years ago, for $5 with a handwritten note from someone who said, this is all I can afford, but I want to do as much as I can, and because I believe in what you're trying to do for us. And it was so important to be reminded that it's not just the mighty, this is to your point, but the meek. This notion of everyone everywhere, that is the responsibility of taking on the job.
If a super PAC forms to support you, would you discourage your supporters from donating to the super PAC?
No, but I will say that I think if a super PAC does, and let me be clear. One day, I hope there are no super PACs. But if there is a super PAC that's organized, I would certainly hope at a minimum, there would be full disclosure of contributions and transparency in that respect.
Governor, how
Governor.
soon will it be
Missing
that
from
that
the
you can
current-
actually manage success?
Tell me, do you mind, folks, just tell me, until I get to know you a little bit better, just tell me your first name.
Sure.
names.
Dave Catney is with McClatchy.
Jay?
How soon will you be able to know if this sort of last minute long shot bid is a success or a fool's errand?
First of all, it's not a fool's errand, I wouldn't be on it. And, Dave, I just ask you, I'll put it this way, I've been dealing with skepticism my whole life. And I expected skepticism now, and by the way, if I'd gotten it a year ago, you'd be asking me other questions about why folks should be skeptical of my candidacy. I wouldn't have made the decision if I didn't think there was a path. We are going to have to prove that not just to you with due respect, but to voters. And we intend to do just that.
But how soon do you think that you can see?
No,
see
I understand
polling
I understand
success?
your question, I understand your question. And then we'll get to that deadline and it won't meet whatever you thought I intended by what the measure of success is, and you'll say, okay, he's done. I'm not gonna do that. And I'm gonna be, we're gonna be intentional. I am not interested, and by the way, I can't imagine anybody would be interested in going through this and all that it demands of the candidate and their family and the people who rally around to help if I didn't think that this was for real. And I will respect that you are skeptical, and when I prove you otherwise, I hope you will respect that you were wrong.
Governor, would you commit to a running mate who's a woman?
Well, listen, I'm not gonna commit to anything, yet it seems presumptuous,
Would you
right?
commit to a cabinet that's
There's
50% women?
there's a colleague of yours who was just expressing skepticism of my being in the race at all. But I think if you look at my experience in Massachusetts, we had a highly diverse and intentionally so team of senior leaders.
Would
And
you commit to a
I would look
cabinet?
to that. I'm not gonna do it by the numbers, but I'm very, very interested in encouraging talent, which I know arises and is available in every single community in the country.
Governor, Sharon Bernstein from Reuters, I was just wondering if you could talk with us with a little bit more specificity about what you felt has been missing from the discussion so far and how that propelled you to get into the race.
Well, that was part of it. As I said, I wanted to get in a year ago, just about now, and I explained the reasons why I didn't. And I knew I had a sense of what the field was going to be even then, because a lot of these candidates are friends of mine. We've been talking about it, their potential candidacies and my own. So it's not a sort of a frustration with the field today. It's about what I think I can offer. I've worked in and solved problems in the private sector, in the public sector, and not-for-profits and for-profits in this country and all over the world. And I have had the great blessing of living the American dream, having grown up in poverty in Chicago and had access to a great education and great opportunities. And I have watched that dream constrained so that the perspective of having those different assignments and solved problems in those different assignments, at the same time watching that the path the country so generously made available to me has been less and less available to generations since. I have some ideas about how we restore that, and how important it is that we restore that for everybody and not just for some. And part of that is sort of the point I was trying to make earlier, I think in response to your question, is that I think we have to be open right from the start and through the campaign to people whose ideas may not be the same as ours, meaning means, not ends. And so when I hear, we should accomplish, for example, universal health care in one way and only one way, I've been at those tables, and I'm not satisfied that is a realistic way to accomplish what should be for all of us and is an ambitious end.
Guys, we can do one more. If you want us to come back for late night, we will. But let's do one more now. Governor, Gary
Just tell me
Grunback,
your-
Gary Grunback from NBC News. You're in Las Vegas right now. What are your thoughts on the decriminalization of sex work?
You know what, I'll have to study, I don't know, I really don't know. I know there's a robust debate, I know how it's done in, is it Amsterdam? Where the experience is very different, but also the culture, so I don't have a point of view yet.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.